more or share some strategies about accelerated courses and taking accelerated courses. So whether you are here as a faculty member who is engaged in some accelerated courses or will be soon, or you may even be a student that is either getting ready to engage in these courses, or you are in them right now and you're like, okay, let me see what I need to be doing to get better. Either way, I am so excited to be with you today. And before we move on any further, I just want to give you a preview of next tomorrow. Tomorrow we have a lot more education courses. We have at 2 p.m. Dr. Davis. It will be on the campus, but utilizing Zoom also to talk about being a community partner and really having an impact on your community. Right behind him at 3:15 will be a mental health counselor. And so she'll be able to tell us about all the things that are going on in the schools, how the students are coping, how the teachers are coping, and then how we can cope as well. And then follow right behind her is some yoga and reflection and meditation. So Wednesday is all about you, right? Paying attention to you. So I'm going to pass it over to Mrs. Lilinda Street so that she can do what she's doing, and then I'm going to do what I'm doing.
Do what I'm doing. So
Okay.
tonight, I would like to welcome you to this evening session. It is going to be a great one indeed, how to survive and thrive in an accelerated course. We have a dynamic speaker this evening, Dr. Bryant Foster. I know you guys are going to be thrilled and learn a lot from this particular session. So just sit back, enjoy, and be ready to really learn and immerse yourself in the conversation about accelerated courses. So I'll be checking the chat throughout the evening. Feel free to chime in whenever you want. And when there's opportunity, I'll make sure she gets those particular questions. And she may actually want you to chime in throughout the session as well. All right, so have a good evening, guys.
Thank you so much. All right, so let's get started. Now, I wonder why that's over there. This is right here. That looks weird. So what do you see?
You see a blank screen with your name.
This happens to me from time to time. So I'm going to start showing this and go to that. All right. Well, if you're here, it's because you want some more information about accelerated courses. So if that is true, you can use one of your reactions, whether that's a thumbs up or raise your hand feature, or whatever you want to use to say, yep, that's why I'm here. That's me. I want to know more about accelerated courses. Yes. Okay. So as you know, accelerated courses are becoming even more relevant, right? Or even more widely known in all of our areas. And if you check, if you peek around the corner to other colleges, they're doing the same thing. We have learned that, students would love an opportunity to get to their coursework in this manner. And so let us begin now that this little slide is up, y'all, with how to excel in an accelerated course. Now, I know we already have a mixed group in this room, which is really, really good because I get to talk to not only the faculty member, but the faculty member can also see the impact on their behavior. And when I say behavior, I don't mean like, your behavior, but the things we do, everything that you do, that's behavior. And so we have an opportunity to reflect also on our practices while we're here today. So thank you, faculty members and staff members who are here in support. All right, we're gonna try this again. I'm gonna try to share this one more time. Here we go. Matt, can you make Lalinda the co-host, please? Because we have some people in the waiting room. Thank you. All right, guys, here we are. It's working. So how to survive and thrive in accelerated courses. My name is Dr. Ashante Bryant Foster. I serve as the chair for the education department. So all things education, I am and we are. So glad to be here with you. And we're going to talk about what accelerated really means. And I'm going to do that in about 40 minutes. I know this session says 6 to 7, but really 40 minutes is a good chunk of time for us to be able to dialogue before you start to kind of check out and look over there and get on Facebook and Instagram, because I know I'm the same way. We'll look at some benefits. We'll look at some things that you should consider. And then I'll take you to a plan of action, followed by just a few resources that you may want to use in your journey. So at the end, I'm a teacher, right? So I got to have a learning outcome. So at the end of this session, we will all be able to activate the OWLS plan for accelerated classes, the OWLS plan, because we're the owls, right? Yeah, owls. So I love words. I love them to pieces. I love them to pieces so much that I often break them up into pieces to understand them better, right? So word parts and all of that. So etymology and Latin and the Greek root words, it just warms my heart. So I saw this opportunity to break down this word for you too. So accelerated, that's the syllables. And so it's from the Latin words or word parts ad, which means forward or toward. So if you think of advance, that's what we're talking about. Moving forward. When you advance, you move forward. But then there's another part, the celero part is haste or hurry or quicken, right? So we want to move forward quickly. We want to move forward in haste. We want to move forward in a hurry. And so basically that is what an accelerated course is. And it's important for us to break it down that way because we don't want you to feel like you are being cheated or that you're not getting it all. Oh no, you're getting it all, right? And you're getting it all quickly. So condensed courses, so an accelerated course, and this is directly from our website. The accelerated courses, condensed courses that are shorter in length than regular semester length courses, directly from our website. So they're condensed, pushed in. So same amount. Think about, I don't want to think about the loaf of bread because I'm not supposed to be eating it right now, but I used to love bread a whole lot. And I would get my pieces of bread and kind of smush them together and make like a sandwich. I know it's weird, but I wouldn't lose bread. It would be the same amount of bread. It would just be kind of pushed in, right? So that's the kind of idea we're talking about with accelerated courses. Okay, this is also directly from the website. Accelerated courses contain the same amount of coursework as the regular full length. Wait, did I skip this? Hold on. I already told the answer. But anyway, we have a poll. And I'm not seeing the poll. Matthew, do you need to do the poll? Can you activate the poll for me? Matthew, are you there? Okay, so the poll goes like this. In the chat, can you put the answer to this question? The question is, and I apologize that I don't have it on the screen because the poll is not up. The question is, when considering taking an accelerated course, so when you take one of these courses, do you believe you're doing twice as much work, same amount of work, or half of the work? Twice as much work, same amount of work, half of the work. So you could just put it in the chat. Same, twice as much, half. What are your thoughts about that? Okay, Lalinda is saying the same amount of work. What do you all think? Same? Same amount? Okay. So most folks are saying, okay, most folks are saying same. Okay, well, let's take a look at what you already just saw. Okay, Lalinda said maybe less. Ooh. Accelerated courses actually contain the same amount of work as the regular full-length semester courses, which means basically that the students are expected to complete the same amount of work in half of the time, right? So someone may have said, oh, it's twice as much work. And that would have been an acceptable answer if your rationale is because I have to do it faster. If it's like I'm doing more each week. And I would understand that for sure. So did you know that during a traditional 15-week session, if you're taking a 3-credit course, what is estimated is that it's 3 hours of classroom or direct faculty instruction about. And so for the education courses, most of them we meet once a week. And so we meet for 2 hours and 45 minutes plus break. And then you're supposed to spend about 6 hours out of the classroom. So that could be like reading on your own, doing your assignments, any of that type of work, lab work, any of that out of the actual direct instruction time. So if this is what it looks like each week for 15 weeks, just consider how many hours that will be if it were condensed, right? So if it's half the time, I'm going to need to spend more time in instruction. And sometimes that instruction is asynchronous, right? But then there's also more out of classroom time that you will need to be spending with these courses. So there's a lot to consider. There are great options, but always know what you're walking into so that you can remain successful. Why accelerated? Well, here's some benefits. Students can decide the time of day that works best for their schedule. So if it's a primarily online course, which a lot of the accelerated courses are, right? You will be able to decide, okay, well, I work best at 2 in the morning. So from 2 to 6 in the morning, I'm going to do my work. That's up to you, as long as you get it done by the scheduled time in Blackboard, soon to be Canvas. And also it's practical. You can focus on a specific set of coursework, right? So instead of having all of your classes for 15 weeks all the time, and you just have 6 classes for 15 weeks and you have to do all 6, what would it be like if you only had 3 for half of the semester, and then the other half semester you had the other 3? Then that way you can focus on just 3. But it will be a lot of focus because it's half the time. It could be, I would say affordable too, when it's remote and asynchronous, those opportunities where you can save on those transportation costs. We're not going to talk about these gas prices. We're going to keep it positive today, right? And then possibly, you are able to save on some family care fees. If you have to attend campus on class on campus, then sometimes if you are a parent or if you're a caregiver, somebody has to watch, whatever you're watching. You might have a new puppy. Somebody needs to watch, the puppy as well. So in that case, you may have some affordability positive points there. And then it's flexible start of class. Sometimes we may miss the first day of class or not know that registration is coming up. And so if there's seats available, especially in that last term, you can register all the way up until, if it's fall, all the way up until October, right? And so perhaps maybe you need to work a little bit more to be able to save the money to do that. It's really up to you because this is a very individual decision. Accelerated courses are an individual decision. That's something that you want to do. Usually when there's an accelerated option, there's another option to do it, the 15-week way also. But sometimes it's not. If you're in a small department like the education department, sometimes we only have accelerated for a specific course, right? We may only have it for one section. And so it's really, really important that you invest time in the different modalities. All right. So let's move on to the next one, and then I need to hear from you. These are the things you need to consider. Immediate feedback is vital to this experience because it's 7 weeks, right? And so we don't really have the kind of time to say, all right, well, you can turn it in next week. You don't have to turn it in this week. You can turn it in next week, especially if it's one of those classes that are project based. And first you need to do part 1 and get the feedback for part 2 to get the feedback for part 3. If you don't do part 2, how are you going to know what to do for part 3? And so we really need to be mindful of your teacher, your instructor can only give you feedback if you turn it in. But if you turn it in, faculty members, it's so important, especially during our accelerated courses, that we provide the feedback so that the students can grow. We don't want 2 and 3 weeks of coursework to sit in there and they're making the same mistake each week, but we're not getting it back to them in time enough for them to be able to correct the mistake. So that's really not fair to students. So let's just understand that it's more work for student. It looks like more work for student, but it's really faster work for student and it's faster work for you. So we just like the students, we also need to schedule our time. And it's not exactly any time you want. We're looking at this one over here. Professors still have due dates, so you can't just turn it in whenever you want, especially for those courses that are online. Adhere to the due date as much as possible. And understand down here in the lower quadrant that the time is going to keep going. So you need to consider your life cycle. What do I mean by life cycle? What are you talking about? I'm not a butterfly. I got it. My life cycle goes something like this. I'm a mom. I'm a mom of a lot of children, right? And my young men play fall ball. I have one that is a cheerleader primarily football games, away games, all that kind of stuff. And I love my HBCU. So I love to go to homecomings, right? All of them, not just my own. So that I need to consider whether the fall is the best time and place for me to take accelerated courses. Perhaps the spring would be better for me, right? You may have some things going on in your spring. So just be able to understand your life cycle, right? Can I handle a winter course? Can I handle a 4-weeker? In the summer, what does my summer look like? Okay, well, I know I'm going on vacation in July. So let me take my first 5-week session first week so that I don't have to worry about it while I'm on vacation. So it's just like a little bit of planning. You gotta think about it a little bit. And then remember that it's more and faster. When I say more activities, but not more in the scope of things, just more right now. So more right now and faster. Your coursework may seem to double as you complete these courses in 7 weeks. But obviously you're here because you believe you can do it, and I believe you can too. And so I'm going to tell you a couple of things that you can do to get it done. But first, in the chat, do you represent letter A, letter B, or letter C? Put that in the chat, please. Are you interested in taking an accelerated course? You're taking an accelerated course. I'm supposed to say accelerated course this semester, or you are an instructor who will be teaching an accelerated course. We see 1 in the chat, 2. Great, great, great. Okay, faculty, I see you. What about everybody else? We're placing in the chat which letter represents you. I like that, Charles, A and B. This question helps me understand how I move forward in the next slide. So that's why I need your full participation. So we have few B's, an A. Jildan, I know you. I've seen your name before. I know you, right? I think so. Okay, so there we go. A for the most. Okay, and still deciding. I got you. Wonderful. So let's get into it. So there is a clue. If you remember, if you were paying attention when I went over the outcomes in the agenda, you should be able to answer this question. But A, B, or C, whoever puts it in the chat first gets a prize. Which is our mascot? Oh, what is that pronounced? Ronell? Can you come off of mute and tell me how to say your name, please? If you are able. Oh, yay! I try. So if you can send me a direct message with your email address, you are the first winner of the night. So congratulations. Yes, we are owls. And so we have an owl plan to get ourselves together. So the O for owl stands for organizing your resources. How can you be successful in accelerated courses? Understanding your resources, knowing where they are, knowing what you're supposed to do. So these are some questions that you can ask yourself. Where do I submit the assignments? Am I only logging in when it's time for me, when it's an assignment due date? Or am I logging in periodically throughout the week so that I know what to do? Am I opening up the assignment as soon as the module opens so that I can at least look at it and see whether I understand it or whether I have questions? Because I can guarantee you, well, I'll just speak for me. Professors are not up on Sunday at 11:59 p.m. on their email. So when you send the email at 11:58 p.m. on the Sunday before the module closes, we're not going to respond. So it's best that as soon as the module opens, and that should be a scheduled time, it shouldn't be a mystery. As soon as that module opens, that you get right into it, at least read over the information and make sure that you understand everything. And whatever you don't understand, you can go to those weekly office hours. Another question that you should ask yourself is, are the text resources also online, or do I need to purchase a book? And that's something that you need to do before you get into your class, because remember, the time is ticking. We're already in week 3 of term 4. And so if you just found out I need a book, then you got to go to the bookstore or wait for the book to come. Time is ticking, right? Where can I get help with research and writing? If you know that's an area of growth for you, do something about it. Don't just keep sitting there and, well, I mean, I know I'm gonna get a couple points off on my writing. I can't get my citations right real good. So I know I'm gonna get dinged for that. No, stop getting dinged for that and figure it out. We have some resources for you. Or being organized, where will you do the work? Where, and I know that sounds like, well, what do you mean where do the work? Everybody doesn't have a desk. Everybody doesn't have an office, right? And I understand that. But you do need an area where, okay, when I sit right here at this desk, I know it's about business. It probably should not be on the bed. Sometimes the couches are all you have, right? So I get that. But the bed makes me want a night-night. I don't know about you all, but the bed makes me want to go to sleep. And then you want to know, is there an app for that? The resources that you are using, there's an app for Blackboard, even though we are sunsetting that. If your professor uses Kahoot a lot, there's an app for that. So check out resources. Are there any apps for citations and getting better with your writing? I love Grammarly. Look at your resources, see what's available. So again, some of those things you can do is go to the grammar clinics that we are having. There's emails about that. There's a link in your Blackboard also. Take a stroll around your Blackboard course. Don't just go straight to syllabus and course content. There's so much more there for you. Math Center, all that. So you can have some tutoring support, they can do assignment review and assessment review, skill review with you. And that's a part of your activity fee, that tutoring support. Did you know? So it's for you. They're waiting for you. And then you can also use collegial support. If there's a discussion board parking lot, use that and say, hey, is anyone else having a difficulty accessing this particular link, right? Because it may be just you or it may not be just you. And then phone a friend if you need to. You can only phone a friend if you get a phone number or if you get an email. So, the more that we keep ourselves isolated, the more we're not connecting with other people. And then finally, join a club. Join a club, and there's some clubs that you can join that you don't necessarily have to come to the campus every single time. So don't let that be a barrier for you. You can join a club that interests you, and there you may find a friend that can support you in your efforts as well. So that's O. O for organize. Everybody put organize in the chat. O, organize. Everybody put the word organize in the chat. Organize in the chat. O for organize. Yes, yes, yes. Wonderful. Yes. All right. So we know we're going to organize. And now this second one, you guys, is we have to work in the work. So we have to work it in. We only get 7 weeks to do it. So when will you make the time to make the grade? Questions like, does my professor post a video or audio presentation? When am I going to watch it? When am I going to listen to it? With this Panapto, it's really, really cool because I can look on there and look at the statistics. I don't know if anyone has ever shared that with you. And you can see the person when they log in, if you log in multiple times for the video, how long they watched it, where they stopped watching it at, and all that good fancy stuff. And so sometimes I get questions and I can look and see, well, you didn't even watch the video. And we spend a good amount of time and energy making videos and audio presentations for you so that you can feel and hear and understand better from our voice. So can you play them, please? And thank you. Know when your discussion boards are due. Sometimes professors have, okay, you need to do your first post by this date, and then you need to respond to others by another date. Make sure you know what those dates are so you can work in the work. Okay. Know how much time should be dedicated to that course per week. We already talked about that earlier. And what may need to be eliminated from your routine to make the time for this learning. Now, anytime we want to do something more or extra or expand our horizons, or I remember last summer, I wanted to become and did become a postpartum doula. Well, if I'm going to be a doula in other people's houses, right, and helping them with their baby and doing overnight care and getting there at 10 p.m. and leaving at 6 a.m., that means somebody's going to need to be, I'm going to need to eliminate something from my schedule to be able to do it. And yes, Charles, it is a matter of following instructions and directions, but you have to also understand what the directions are, right? And be clear with your professor. Sometimes we may put up things and our mind is thinking faster than our fingers are typing, and it may not have come out as simple to you, right? And so if you don't understand something, just ask the question. Be as specific as you can, but ask the question so that you know for sure. Yep. So some things I do, I put my do not disturb on my phone. I take some of the notification. I have taken a lot of notifications off of my phone because I don't want to be a slave to this device. Like every time it bing, 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 no, I'll turn it over because I'm doing this right now. I incorporate writing Wednesdays. I'm an author as well. And so I write on Wednesdays. During my dissertation, I wrote on Wednesdays. I was talking about that last night. And then you can have some thoughtful Thursdays too. Think about, answering discussion board questions or things of that nature, having someone else quiz you. Just, make it work for you. Don't forget to seek and celebrate the small wins. When you get a grade in and it's great, celebrate that. Know when to take a break and make sure you're taking care of yourself. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. We have a mental health session at 3:15 on tomorrow. So please check that out. She's going to be talking about ways that we can make sure we're taking care of ourselves. And then, of course, stay engaged. There is nothing that I get sad about more than when a student poses a question, but the person, the originator, doesn't come back and and look at the responses because they've already done their initial post and they posted to 2 people and they're out. Well, it's not really a discussion if you don't come back and answer the question. And that back and forth, you can do it more than one time. The minimum is one time. But the whole idea of a discussion board is to be able to start a discussion, not to check the box, but actually to discuss. Go to the office hours and eliminate those distractions, whatever that is for you. Sometimes we may need to take a break and let folks know I'm in an accelerated course this semester. So I'm not going to be able to do this, this, and this yet. But we're going to celebrate when I'm done and get right back to it. Okay, so it's a sacrifice, just like with anything else. Is that resonating with anybody? Working in the work. Working in the work. Yes, sir. Working in the work. Okay, so that was an O. What was O? Organize. W, work in the work. And now love your learning. Love your learning. Now, although there's a fancy theorist who said that we're not supposed to teach learning style anymore, I know for certain that I need to see it. And so whether you call it learning style or the way you learn best, love on that. Get to know what that is. How do you enjoy learning? What do you need? I need to see it. People can talk to me all day. If they don't give me a visual, I start to make one in my brain. Anybody else like that? Like you have to see the word or you see the numbers before you write them down or as you write them down. I think that's why I was an excellent spelling bee champion, because I was able to see those words. So know what you like. You might need a mix. You might need to, have some manipulatives. If you have a math class and they don't supply the manipulatives for you, or you are, asynchronous or accelerated, get your own. Go get some candy. Go get some, Post-it notes, fold it, move it. Do what you need to do. Love on your learning style. Because most professors teach in their learning style, just like people love from their learning style. That's just easier and more natural for them. It's the same thing with teaching. So we have to be intentional about teaching to all of the styles, but you need to be intentional about knowing what you need and advocating for that. Know how you can get your needs met online. That might just be going to office hours, right? You get that FaceTime with your professor. Understanding what activities you need to do to help you learn. I need to write it. When you go to those presentations and the professor may say, I'm going to put this PowerPoint on the Blackboard, so you don't have to worry about writing everything down. I'm the one that's like, wait, can you go back to that slide? Can you go back to that slide? Because something in my brain, I learn best when I am seeing it and I'm writing it and I'm absorbing it. That's brain science. I didn't put that slide in here this time, but between that and color, that is definitely brain science. And know where you can find more resources for your style. Understand what you need when you are going through a process. Remember, I talked about the life cycle just a little bit earlier, and that's a more of an elementary concept in its foundational form, right? But let's say you learn best with movement, right? So you start as a caterpillar, and then you could go into and you get spun all into the thing that I forget the name of. And then at some point, you start to move out and push out and become that beautiful butterfly, right? So some people need that. Some people enjoyed that little representation that I just did. I know you did. And then know how you can communicate your needs to your professor. I had a student a couple of days ago in one of my accelerated courses just for this semester. And she wrote to me and she said, do you mind extending the due date one day because, and she gave the reason why. And it made so much sense to me. And I said, well, did you look in the syllabus where it says you have a 24-hour grace period? So there's a due date and then a 24-hour grace period. And she said, oh, thank you so much for pointing that out to me. So that leads me to the next part about the syllabus. But first, This is how you love on your learning style. If you're kinesthetic, you may want to redo or recreate labs or projects when you get home. Um, you might want to use life application to explain concepts like I did before, and then give your concepts some motion. Okay. What about visual? Use your graphic organizers. I redraw diagrams all the time. I may so on Sundays, I listen, I go to church and listen to the sermon or whatever. And I think about what image I see. And then I'll draw like the outline of the image and then kind of put my notes on the inside. That's just kind of how I like to take notes. Color code your notes, go over them, go over them. That repetition will help you greatly. But when you color code, you can color code the part I don't understand. You can color code the questions that you might have, or your new learning. And then you can replace words with symbols. Also, just do what you need to do. You know what you need to do. Just do it. And then for our auditory learners, you can read your notes aloud. You can record your notes and replay them. You have to think about that. You can replay your instructor videos and just listen. And then you can also teach a peer or colleague because you are using the auditory ability there too. So let's go in the chat. Let's go in the chat. What are your go-to places in the syllabus? So when you go to your syllabus, you get your syllabus, you're like, okay, first aid class, or 3 days before, and you're like, oh, what's the first thing you look for? Put it in the chat. Okay, percentages. I like, Okay, looking at the grading, the assignment outline, yeah. Okay, so the requirements, your expectations. Those are good answers. The course schedule, yeah. Yeah, all of those things are, how about that? Attendance in the assigned schedule, policies and grading, like, especially if it's a hybrid, right? What days am I supposed to be on the campus? Which days am I supposed to be asynchronous? Oh, that's important. There's nothing worse than coming to the campus and you're like, oh, we don't have class today. So yes, exactly. When those exams are, yes. So the point that I'm making here is I'm moving to the S in the owls, because we have the organize ourselves, and then we're going to work in the time to do the work, and then we're going to love on our learning styles or the way we learn. And now, y'all, we need to become syllabus sleuths. We need to really get into that syllabus, because the syllabus has so much in there that will really help you when you're thinking about, okay, it's time for me to do an assignment. Now, we're recording, so hear me clearly. I'm not saying choose one assignment to do over the other. I'm saying do them all. But I am also saying when there's an opportunity for you to not do so well, or, oh man, I'm just really in crunch time. It's not on a portfolio. You can't be in crunch time on a portfolio. You can't be in crunch time on a midterm. You definitely can't be on crunch time with your final. You need to analyze that syllabus and understand when the office hours are and use them. We love when students come to office hours. And you don't only have to come to an office hour when something has gone wrong. You can come to office hours when everything is great and you want to share your new learning, or you want to extend the learning. The office hours are for you. Know when your discussion boards are due. We talked about that. Know which activities are a must do. And those are the must do's, right? Those must do activities. I mean, everything is a must do, but you know what I mean with the must do's. I gotta get this one. Because when you start calculating and this and that, and if this doesn't go well, and then my grade doesn't go well, you need to understand what's happening. What are the professor's policies on resubmitting assignments? Everyone doesn't accept resubmissions. Everyone doesn't accept late work. And just because you emailed it doesn't mean that they have to grade it. So be really, really clear about that. And be open and honest as well, because we are all human beings and life happens. But when you can be honest as early and often as possible, that is helpful. What is the assignment or activity flow of the course? So, for example, if the module opens on a Monday, you have to do your first discussion board entry by a Wednesday, and then your journal writing by Friday, and whatever that other assignment is by the end of the night on Sunday. Whatever that flow is, most professors have, some type of cadence in their work. Figure out what that is and flow with it. Flow with it. Know how many credits in your course as well. 1 credit courses are less in the amount of hours served and the time you need to put into them versus a 3-hour. So pay attention to what you're doing. So this is what that looks like. This is what it looks like all together. These are the questions that you might want to ask yourself. So feel free to take a screenshot, this one, because these are questions that you can ask yourself each and every time before you start to select your courses, which is right now because registration for advanced folks just opened on Monday. So when you organize, ask yourself, how will I structure my time and resources for accelerated and asynchronous online learning? How am I going to do that? How will I structure my time and my resources? That's a question you can ask yourself. This is self-coaching right now. So what I'm sharing with you, I'm giving you a piece of me because I'm a coach too. So I'm giving you a piece of me so that you can coach yourself. Then I want you to ask yourself for the work, how will I use my executive functioning skills like self-regulation to make time for this work? Self-regulation means I want that crumble cookie. I don't need that crumble cookie right now, so I'm not going to get the crumble cookie. I have to finish this task, so I'm going to choose not to go out with my friends right now until I complete this task, because I understand that I need to regulate myself. I do want the crumble cookie though. I just wanted to say that, but I'm not going to get it. Love your learning style. Love how you learn. How can I appreciate the way I enjoy learning? And how can I incorporate it into my study habits in this course? How can I do it? How can I maximize on the fact that I love to see it? I am a visual learner. That's how I learn. Visual kinesthetic. I want to move. I want to see it. I want to move it. I want to see it. Right? And then be a sleuth. How will I break down this syllabus into manageable parts, not people, that I can understand during this course? How can I break this down into manageable pieces that I can understand during this course? Did you already win a prize? Oh, no, you didn't win a prize, Poppy. Let's see. Let me get another one. I'll get another one. The next prize will go to, I didn't even have a second place. All right, the next prize will go to the person that can put first in the chat. You're welcome. The department that I am the department chair for. First to put it in the chat. Those who can't play already know they can. All right, so I'm going to wait for that. And I want you to know that there are several resources already just waiting for you to click on them right there on our website. There are e-learning webs in our e-learning platform. There are resources there for you built into your Blackboard courses. There are things there for you. The tutoring and writing center, the classmate connections, all of these things are available for you. And so there's some references there too that we'll share. So if you want more information and you want to keep in touch with me, you want to follow what I follow on Twitter, is MBC Teacher Mommy. And there's my email address and my phone number, which is also my Zoom link. as well. So let me see in the chat before we end, and I'm going to take questions because I have a little bit of time. Of the ones that you see, of the O, the W, the L, and the S, which ones have resonated with you most? Which question are you like, you know what, I really want to do more, or I really want to be better with that particular area? Will it be organizing, concentrating on your work, learning to love your learning, or really getting into the syllabus? What do you think? So in the chat, and anybody who wants to come off of mute and ask a question, they can do that too. Now is the time. Uh-oh, I see the answer, but I don't know who to give it to because I don't know who that name is. That's not a name I recognize. So you can also send me a direct message with your email address. Is that, I can't even say it. Can you say your name for me? And anybody who wants to come off of mute, you can either have a question or just talk about how this information makes sense to you. Faculty member, student, or staff. Yes, Poppy.
Well, I joined this event because I take a lot of accelerated courses
Mhm.
because, I feel like I'm a little behind in terms, or I've been in school, you know what I'm saying, a little longer than I would have liked to be because, financially paying for, going to community college route and all. But accelerated courses are like my best friend, especially when I know I got courses I got to take a certain amount of courses before, before I need to graduate, or planning it in the semester, or it lets you take multiple courses in one semester. So I tend to like the accelerated courses a lot, but I've been taking them pretty often. So it's like when I go back to the regular courses and everything's slow and things are like 2 weeks apart instead of something due every week, it's like, wow, I got a lot of time. But I think the accelerated courses are very beneficial. I feel like everybody should take them and take advantage of them. And it's also like challenging yourself too. But I also would say it depends on what course you take too. Because I wouldn't say take like a calculus course accelerated because you're going to, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah. You make
in
a really
terms of
good
like,
point.
whether you just trying to get your extra courses or you need some credits, accelerated courses are really useful in terms of, you know what I'm saying, getting it done, especially when it's a course that you feel like you can maintain and handle. And it also keeps you busy too. But I feel like with accelerated course, you always gotta check because by the time like you let some time go by or you're not on top of it with the due dates, you might miss something.
That's right. That's right. And I appreciate the fact that you brought up, some courses, based on your math or your reading proficiency or just your level of comfort may not be your jam, right? It may not be in alignment with you for that one. So I appreciate what you had to say. Absolutely. Any other?
Yeah, I kind of want to know if anybody is on here that's hesitant to take an accelerated course right now, even after hearing like what might be your hesitation.
Great question. Feel free to come off of mute. If you're still hesitant, let us help you work through that. Yes, Charles.
I'm not hesitant to take an accelerated course, but my plate's a little bit full with this PMP exam coming up. Once I get that off my plate, then the sky's the limit because I believe in accelerated education. I can keep up. That's the pace I prefer to operate at. So it's not a hesitation. It's a matter of being organized and knowing limitations and knowing that my plate is full. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Making room for those opportunities. So valuing the opportunity, but just making sure, like we talked about our life cycle, just understanding where we are in life. Yeah. Great. Great reflection. Any other faculty members or students or guests want to
Um,
share?
Dr. Shanti. May I
Yeah,
ask how he know me or how?
I don't know. I recognize your name though. I'm not sure. Which middle school? I'm
I went
not.
to Oxon Hill Middle School.
I was probably your assistant principal then.
Oh
It's
wow.
good to see you. So glad that you're furthering your education. Absolutely. Makes my heart glad. I knew that name. So for those two winners that we have, please, 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 I'm looking at my direct messages and I don't see email addresses. So once we sign off, which is going to be in 1 or 2 minutes, I won't have access anymore. So I would love to give you that prize. It is email based. And so if you send me that direct message with your email address, I'll be able to do that. You know what? I may need an honorable mention, just saying. Oh, it doesn't allow you to. Oh, okay, 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 okay. Well, let me, Linda, can you help me get those down? Wonderful. And so while we are getting those down, I want to say thank you all so much. I hope that you have enjoyed the experience of being able to talk some things out. I also wanted you to know that there is a survey that we would love for you to complete. It's right here in the Zoom events portal. So once you log off, you'll see it and it will ask you to please complete the survey. So this is our first time doing this professional studies week and we want it to be well, it's already amazing. I have had the best time and it's just Tuesday. But we want it to grow and we want to meet your needs as well. And so by providing that survey information, we can really use that to be better for you. All right. Well, I appreciate everyone's time. I'm not going to hold you any longer. I will stay here until 7 p.m. just in case anyone wants to still talk. But if there's nothing else, thank you so much, Charles, for your kind words in the chat also. Thank you for coming. I much appreciate that as well. You too, Kenneth. All right, everyone. Thank you, Lalinda, for to being the driver for me as well. Thank you for the faculty who came to support after a long, long day. And thank you, students who came to support after a long day. So have an amazing one. And I hope to see you in some sessions tomorrow. Have a good evening.
I did have a question, if it's okay. So I'm on the website on my computer, and I'm in the class on the telephone. And I'm wondering, I didn't know that there were so many resources available to me. I'm, of course, in the School for Continuing Education as an adult learner, right? And so this PMP certification course has made me come to understand that I should really start marketing myself. I'm coming out of retirement a couple of times, right? I retired 2 times already, right? And so I didn't realize that there were so many resources until you made me aware of it just a moment ago, and thank you for that. So I guess I need to find someone at the school or who's specializes in resume writing, because I know that you have to cater your resume to the market that you're trying to approach and appeal to. Where would I go online to find that service, ma'am, please?
Definitely. So career services will be
Yes.
able to support you. I'm not actually on the website right now, but I can get on there and I'm going to stop the recording to end the session.
Okay.